Before we start our class, Knitting 101, I have a few tips for you. I would like to tell you, first of all, that you need to wash your hands because you want your knitting project to stay nice and clean. You want your yarn and your needles and whatever else equipment you have that you're using and touching with your hands to stay nice and clean. Secondly, in order to keep things clean, it's a good idea to put your skein of yarn or ball of yarn that you're knitting from in a bag, and do not use plastic because your knitting needles will poke a hole in the plastic bag in short order. So it's a good idea to use a canvas or some kind of a cloth bag to put your needles in and your knitting when you put it away. And third, it's a good idea to have a contrasting color of yarn and needles. For example, I have needles that are a green color and my yarn is a bright red. And this is especially true if you have smaller needles and smaller stitches, because suppose you were knitting a little baby sweater out of some kind of that mint green yarn and you had mint green needles, it would be difficult for you to see the stitches sometimes. So be sure that you do those three things. And now in a few minutes we'll start our first class, our first lesson of Knitting 101. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about knitting. Let's see, the important things to remember about knitting are that knitting is very simple and easy, that your hands are actually kind of a weaving machine that can make clothing from the simple 2 knitting needles and a piece of yarn, which is really kind of a cool thing. And I would say that the 3 basics that we could start with that would help you out a lot would be to learn how to cast on, which is putting a number of stitches on the needle, like 6 stitches, 8, 10, 12, however many. And then there would be purling, and then there would be knitting, not necessarily in that order. And once you have mastered those 3 things, then we could move on to increasing, decreasing, correcting mistakes, things like that. I've been knitting since I was 7 years old. My mother taught me how to knit when I was very young, and I really enjoy knitting. I think it's pretty cool, and I like to knit things for my friends and my family, and it's a very relaxing experience once you have mastered the basics. And it can be kind of frustrating to master the basics in the beginning. But I'm going to go ahead and start off with learning how to cast on. So without further ado, we will go to the first lesson. Okay, so the first thing you want is a ball of yarn. And then you want to take the string, start pulling it off the ball of yarn, and maybe just about a foot worth of yarn from start to finish. And what you want to do with this is you want to take this and just make a very simple loop. Okay? Just take this part like this and then go under and through there, just like that, so that you've made like a little slip knot or a little loop. Okay, that loop is your very first stitch. See, you've already made your first stitch. You're doing so well. Okay, so you should have a piece going from here and a piece going from here. You should have 2 pieces. Now, the piece that is the end piece, that completely is the end, should be to your left. And the piece that is attaching onto the ball of yarn should be to your right. And then you're going to take a knitting needle and you're going to put the loop on the needle. Now it shouldn't really be this loose. You might want to pull your knot loose a little bit, open it up and adjust it so you can make it a little tighter. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. This hand is going to be a tension, just like the tension knob that you have on a sewing machine. Well, this hand is going to control the tension of these 2 pieces of yarn. Okay, the yarn that has the little end is going to be coming forward toward your body and kind of like hooking over your thumb, and you're kind of holding it here. And then the other yarn that's hooked to the ball of yarn is going to go away from your body with your index finger. Okay? Now, can you do that? Can you do that? Okay, so you've got here the beginning of a little triangle. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the yarn so that you wrap it through your fingers, like so. Okay, that's your this is your tension. So it's going to go in and out through your fingers. It's going to go over the index finger, under the middle finger, over the ring finger, under the little finger. And then you're going to grab all these two pieces, keeping this threaded through your fingers. You're going to grab them here, so that now you've got your a nice little, I like to call it a tent, or it's a little triangle. Okay, that's the beginning of casting on. These 4 fingers have laced the thread that is going from the ball of yarn to your hand through the 4 fingers. The other piece, that is the end piece, is hooked onto your thumb, and you've grabbed everybody like this at the bottom. So the bottom of your hand, it look like the 2 pieces are coming out. Okay, so this is what the whole thing should look like from far away. Now, to cast on your stitches, I'm going to do this very slowly. You're going to go under the thumb piece so that you've got a loop like this, and over under the index finger piece, and then you're going to pull, let your thumb out and pull like this with your thumb. Okay? And then you may have to restructure the whole deal here. So you're going to lace everybody through your 4 fingers, and then you're going to get back in this position where you're grabbing all the yarn at the bottom here with your 4 fingers, keeping your thumb and your index finger spread pretty wide apart. Okay, so now you're going to go one more time under the thumb, and I'll hold it there so you can figure out how to do it on your own hand. And then we're going to go over the index finger loop, and we're going to pull that through the thumb loop and let it off the thumb. Watch it drop off my thumb. See? It's off my thumb, and then I'm going to push my thumb against this piece of yarn that's going toward your body. Now look at this. I've got how many? 3 stitches on there. Now that's pretty good. So we'll do it again. You've got all your fingers laced like so. Grab your thumb thread over here, and then you're going to go under the thumb loop, and over the index finger loop, and pull through and let the loop go. It's big. And then your thumb is going to push into this yarn toward your body, and there you go. We've got 4 stitches on there. Now, let's see if you can practice that for a little bit, and let me know how it goes.